At the start of the movie, a man is seen in a dense forest, and he is trying to find a way out. The forest is so dense that it seems impossible to escape. He keeps moving even after dark. While running, he comes across a sign next to a fairy skeleton that says, "Point of no return," meaning there's no way back. This makes him worried. As it gets darker, the birds fly away, leaving no place to hide. Scared, he climbs a tree but falls from a great height. Before he faints, someone pulls him, and he screams, but we don't see who he is. The scene shifts to 6 days later in the city, where a girl named Mina, who has no friends or family except her sister, is shown. She works at a pet store, and her boss asks her to take a parrot to the zoo. Mina takes the parrot home for the night and sets out for the zoo the next morning. On the way, she takes a wrong turn and ends up in the same forest where the man disappeared. Her car breaks down, so she has to get out and look for help. She takes the parrot with her and starts walking. As it gets darker, the birds fly away again, and the ground begins to shake. Mina gets scared and feels like someone is nearby. She sees an old woman running away and tries to follow her, asking for help. The woman doesn't stop and keeps running. When Mina can't follow anymore, the old woman calls out to her, saying, "If you want to live, run fast and come to us." As Mina heard this, she returned to the old woman, who introduced herself as Madeline, and took her to a house. Once inside, Madeline locked the door. The place wasn't an ordinary house, but a strange room with a huge mirror. Madeline introduced 2 other people named Sierra and Daniel. Mina, feeling scared, asked what this place was. They didn't answer her question but told her to stand in front of the mirror because someone was coming to see them. Mina asked who was coming, and Madeline said, "The Watchers are coming to see us." Suddenly, they started hearing strange noises. Madeline explained that the Watchers were happy to see Mina and were clapping for her. Mina was confused because the Watchers were never shown, and no one saw them, including her. The night passed, and the group came out of the house the next morning. Madeline explained that the Watchers only came out at night, so they could safely explore the forest during the day. Mina wanted to leave the forest, but Madeline warned her that there was no way out and that they had to return to the house before nightfall, or they would lose their lives. Ignoring the warning, Mina continued walking with her parrot. She soon saw the same point of no return sign and felt scared but kept moving toward the sun, hoping to escape. However, she couldn't find a way out. Suddenly, she felt the ground shaking, got frightened, and ran back to the house, realizing she was lost. Madeline comforted her, saying that everyone had tried to escape but failed. They were all stuck there because the forest traps souls and shows strange things to people, which can drive them crazy. Madeline told Mina that if she wanted to stay alive, she should stay with them. Madeline explains to Mina that the forest acts like a hunter, trapping them. She shows Mina a circle of signboards with the words "Point of no return" placed around the forest, half a day's walk from their house. Madeline warns Mina that if she crosses that boundary, it will be hard to come back, so she should never ignore the signs. When Mina asks who put up the signs, Madeline says a professor did it. At night, they return to the house, and the Watchers come to observe them. This time, Sierra dances in front of the mirror and says she enjoys it. They don't have to face the Watchers every night, but when they do, they mustn't turn away. During the day, they face other challenges, like finding food in the forest to survive. The next day, Mina and Sierra go into the forest to gather food. Mina asks Sierra what the Watchers want. Sierra doesn't know much but shares Madeline's theory: the Watchers observe them and will drive them crazy if seen. Sierra shows Mina some pits in the forest, saying the Watchers hide in them during the day and come out at night. Mina learns that Sierra's husband has been missing for 6 months after going into the forest to find a way out. It turns out he was the man taken away at the movie's start. Back at the house, Madeline explains 3 rules to stay alive: never open the door at night, never turn back towards the mirror at night, and stay away from the pits during the day, staying in the light. That night, curious about the Watchers, Mina tries to listen at the mirror but hears nothing. She turns back on the mirror, which angers the watchers, who start banging on it, causing it to crack. Madeline wakes up and tells Mina to face the mirror to calm the watchers down. The next day, Mina goes hunting with Daniel, planning to leave the forest as soon as possible. She asks Daniel if he's ever seen a watcher, and he says he hasn't. Mina shares her suspicions with Daniel, suggesting that Madeline might be making up stories to trap them. She proposes that they explore the pits, believing they might find a way out. Daniel, who also wants to escape, agrees. Mina ties a rope around herself and climbs into one of the pits while Daniel holds the other end to pull her out if needed. Inside the pit, Mina finds a lot of human belongings, likely from people previously trapped in the forest. They pull the items out, and just before Mina climbs out, she sees what looks like someone's fingers inside the pit, which scares her. They take the stuff back to their safe house, where Madeline asks where they found it. They lie, saying they found it in the forest. Madeline, who has been in the forest for a long time, suspects they got the items from the pit and asks Mina what she saw inside, but Mina doesn't reveal anything. Among the items, they find a camera. They set it up outside their house to watch for the watchers, despite Madeline warning them against it. That night, as they wait to see the watchers, something strange happens. Someone knocks on the door. Looking through the camera, they see a person's legs, and the voice outside sounds like Sierra's husband. Sierra, hopeful that her husband has found a way out, wants to open the door, but Madeline stops her. Madeline suggests Sierra test the person by asking a question only her husband would know. Sierra asks about a specific book, but the person outside can't answer, revealing he's not her husband but a watcher. When they don't open the door, the watcher breaks the camera. The watchers get angry and try to break the mirror outside, but Mina, Daniel, Sierra, and Madeline stand in front of it, stopping the watchers from destroying it and preventing them from being harmed. After a tense night, Daniel and Mina decide to tell Madeline the truth that they went into the pit. Madeline becomes furious with Mina and Daniel for breaking a rule by going into the pit. She throws all the items they found back into the pit and insists that Mina must stay, even though she wants to leave. As time passes, the weather changes and winter sets in, but they are still trapped. Mina continues to search for a way out every day, making a map and hoping to complete it someday. However, they struggle with finding enough food, and their mental state deteriorates due to hunger. Tensions rise, and one day, Daniel and Madeline have a heated argument. In his anger, Daniel locks himself and Sierra inside the safe house, leaving Madeline and Mina outside. As night falls, Madeline and Mina beg Daniel to let them in, but he refuses. With darkness setting in and the watchers emerging, they hide under a dense tree. The watchers, tall and thin, emerge from their holes and search for Madeline and Mina, hoping to find and eat them. As the creatures move away, Madeline and Mina take the chance to return to the safe house and Daniel finally lets them in. They are all panicked after seeing the creatures. Madeline then reveals a secret: she didn't get stuck in the forest, she came there searching for these creatures. She had read in books that they were fairies, but upon seeing them, she realized they were monsters who could mimic human appearances. One even looked like her, with scattered hair and dark circles under its eyes. She noticed that the creatures learned from observing humans, trying to become more like them. While discussing, they hear a knock on the door. The creatures are mimicking their voices, trying to get inside. The group realizes that if they don't open the door, the creatures could break it down. They need to find a hiding place. Suddenly, Daniel notices the floor is uneven. When they pull back the carpet, they discover a bunker underneath. They quickly descend into the bunker, surprised they hadn't found it earlier. The bunker is well equipped with food, TVs, technology, and other supplies. Curious about the place's origins, Mina turns on a computer. While there's no internet, she finds saved data revealing that Dr. Martin, a professor, built this bunker. He knew about the creatures and wanted to research them, which is why he created the safe bunker. Dr. Martin lived in the bunker, luring humans with the promise of money and leaving them in the room above at night, while he hid in the bunker. The creatures, which were once fairies, would then come out and eat the humans. Through his research, Dr. Martin discovered that these creatures were indeed fairies who had lost their magic and feathers after being trapped underground for so long. He also found a different type of fairy that could come out in the light. This fairy was kind and didn't harm him, so he brought her to the bunker, where she learned a lot from him. However, they eventually had a falling out. The computer in the bunker had numerous videos of Dr. Martin documenting his findings. In the final video, he appeared distressed, planning to kill himself and the fairy. Before his death, he revealed a way to escape the forest: follow the direction in which the birds fly in the evening. He also urged anyone who escaped to go to the university and destroy his research, stating that some secrets should remain hidden and that he had made a terrible mistake in trying to unite humans and fairies. The group spends the night in the bunker, hopeful now that they know how to escape. The next morning, they find the safe house destroyed by the Watchers and begin their journey out of the forest. To ensure they find the right direction, Mina releases the parrot she had brought, and they follow its flight. As they walk, they come across a grave. Madeline explains that there was a time when fairies lived peacefully with humans, but humans betrayed them, trapping them in the forest, where they lost their powers. They reach a stream as evening falls, just as the Watchers begin to emerge. They find a boat left by Dr. Martin and prepare to escape. However, before they can leave, Daniel encounters what he thinks is a companion, John, who is injured. Daniel goes to help, but the others quickly realize that John is actually a fairy disguised as a human. The fairy then takes on Daniel's appearance. Unable to save him, they watch as the fairy kills Daniel, leaving a mark on his forehead. They learn that the fairies cannot cross the stream, so they escape safely and reach the city. In the final scene, Mina arrives at Dr. Martin's university, intending to destroy his research as he had instructed. However, before she deletes the data, she discovers information about the ancient coexistence of humans and fairies, including the fact that they intermarried and had hybrid children. Mina discovers that the Madeline they met in the forest was actually Professor Martin's wife. Confused about why Madeline never revealed this, Mina decides to discuss it with Sierra. She tells Sierra that Madeline wasn't human but a fairy who could change her appearance. This surprises Sierra, as the real Madeline had died years ago from lung cancer. As Mina explains all this, she suddenly realizes she's not talking to Sierra, but to the fairy who had disguised herself as Sierra. The real Sierra had been rendered unconscious. The fairy, pretending to be Sierra, attacks Mina to keep her secret. Before she can harm Mina, she reveals that she was different from other fairies, able to come out in the daylight, which led to her being shunned and thrown out by the others. Mina then tells the fairy that she wasn't just different but special because she was a hybrid, half human and half fairy. This was why she could live among both humans and fairies, and why she was able to escape the forest. Upon learning this truth, the fairy regains her feathers and magic. She then flies away, leaving Mina behind. The story concludes a few weeks later, with Mina living with her sister, frightened by the events in the forest. She confides in her sister, saying she feels the fairy is still following her. Her sister reassures her, telling her not to worry. In the final scene, a girl is shown outside Mina's house, who is revealed to be the fairy Madeline, now living as a girl in the human world. The story ends with this mysterious and unresolved note.